everybody. Welcome to episode 66 of Mr. Robin's Hood podcast. We are broadcasting from our now infamous Studio C, where we are exactly one fresh apple fritters throw from hole number 2
We're going to be throwing rubber chickens and apple fritters
of the Woodward, Oklahoma Municipal Golf Course. It is I, your fearless co-host and professional fool,
Emphasis on the professional.
or just Mr. Robin to you. I'm joined by my sparkling co-host, best pal forever, and all-around pain in the dick, the one, the only, Mikkel Murray Robinson, known throughout the podcasting uni as Mikey on the mic. So, Mikey is off her latest side gig.
I thought you were going to say off my latest meds, but no.
Running an underground animal rehab center / art school.
With the dead coot on my roof.
Yeah,
I'm really doing good at that.
Somewhere. Well, they could be rehabbed somewhere.
Bro was like, I think I saw it breathe a little. I'm like, it's done for. We can't save it.
Oh, no kidding. He thought,
but he could be just freaking out. It looked pretty dead as a doornail to me, but what do I know?
Yeah.
I'm just a wildlife rehabber with,
That's right, folks. While the rest of us are trying to live normal lives, Mikey is out there teaching possums how to finger paint.
I have never tried to live a normal life. Possums how to finger paint.
And giving, here you go, raccoons their own Instagram and Tinder photography classes. Last week, she sold a watercolor painted by a skunk for $800. The title, Ode de Regret. But it's not all. But that's not all. It turns out Mikey's also moonlighting as the lead counselor for a tree support group. Once a week, she circles up with oaks and pines and listens to them whine about woodpeckers.
Well, yeah, those sons
of bitches. She takes notes, tells them to stand tall, and then paints their portraits while glaring at passing joggers like only idiots run in the presence of trees processing grief. And just when you think it couldn't possibly get any weirder, it does. She's also working with the Oklahoma Wildlife Department on her new invention, a squirrel-powered camera drone. Yeah, that's right. A drone powered by squirrels that the beta test ended when 47 squirrels mutinied, strapped the camera to a deer, and then vanished like a woodland Fast and Furious sequel. Squirrels can be so temperamental. Mikey insists that it was performance art. So if you've noticed coyotes holding paintbrushes, or if your local cottonwood suddenly has a restraining order against a woodpecker, don't worry. It's not climate change.
I've got it under control.
It's merely Mikey.
It's merely Mikey. I'm going to make a song about it at least. It's the least I can do, but... Hello.
Yep. And so we are joined today by Keele Fishel. She is a trauma survivor, artist, author, and business owner of nearly 30 years, who transformed her own battles into a mission of helping others. After decades in corporate America, she chose to leave a brutal industry to dedicate her life to guiding people through trauma, anxiety, and PTSD. She trained at the Hypnosis Motivation Institute, earning a degree in psychology and certification as a clinical hypnotherapist, and advanced further as a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. Keele is known for blending clinical skill with spiritual depth, meeting clients where they are, across faiths and worldviews, and crafting approaches that fit each individual. Her methods give people more than symptom relief. They walk away with tools to conquer old patterns themselves, often discovering new confidence, pride, and self love. That empowerment has made her not only a trusted guide for trauma recovery, but also a leading specialist in helping people quit smoking, a struggle that often runs hand in hand with anxiety and unresolved trauma. Keele, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, we're so happy to have you, Keele, because as I told you, and just kind of preface for people out there, Robin and I are interested in hypnotherapy. We think it's fascinating. And I was like, I'm just going to Google a hypnotherapist in Oklahoma City. I felt like the closest place. And you popped up, and I just was like, she's the one. And then, I emailed you and you said yes. And so it was just as
And here we are.
easy
Here
as
we
that, and we're really excited to kind of
Dive
dive in.
Yeah.
So as we start here with our questions, we have more than one, obviously. But at what point in your professional adult life did you decide that you wanted to pursue helping others with hypnotherapy?
Many years ago, several decades ago, when I entered into the corporate world, if you've heard of Tony Robbins, he is a
Oh, yeah.
master practitioner of
Yep.
NLP. And I, uh, before he became famous, I was interested in that NLP world because it helps with sales, and that's what I wanted to do. So I went and did that, became a master practitioner, went to the same exact school as uh, Tony Robbins. And it was a great thing. I used it to go and really learn how to talk and communicate and negotiate and so forth. He went on to be a motivational speaker that we know today.
Right.
Well, when I wanted to get out of the business corporate world, I wanted to go back and say, what could I do with this master NLP? Because it seems to help people, help them with answers and coaching and so forth. And that's where I discovered hypnotherapy. And I was like, this is interesting. I didn't think that this went hand in hand, but it certainly does. And the more I found out about it, the more I just fell in love with it. And then I started seeing changes within my classroom. Like I would see people with their case studies, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. This is really helping people. And I just fell in love with it. So it changed everything. I will never go back to the corporate world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be a real shark tank,
I left that mess behind me about 10 years ago, and it can be such a soul-sucking, way to
Yeah.
live. Good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very interesting way. It's different from like corporate coaching and helping people get their goals, because their goals always underline what, corporate wants them to have.
Yeah.
But when you're
Yeah.
working hand on hand, like I can help them with stuff that, affected them ever since they were young. And all of a sudden they have the rest of their lives free of that trauma or free of that memory or free of that thought.
Mhm.
It's just wonderful. I love it.
Great.
That's great. So how long does it take one to become certified in hypnotherapy?
That is a tricky question. And that is a really big question that I want everybody, if you're out there researching and looking for a hypnotherapist, make sure that they belong to a union, number one. Number two, make sure that they've had actual schooling. A lot of these like pop-up weekend warrior, become a hypnotherapist in 4 easy weekends, that is rubbish. That's just rubbish.
Yeah.
So a good a good hypnotherapist takes about a year. Clinical hypnotherapy, which dives deeper into the trauma, anxiety, and things like that, that would take another year. So a total of 2 years or more would be a clinical certified hypnotherapist, eligible for like, unions and things like that. You have to show your credentials to do
Right.
that. So those are the things you need to look for sure.
Okay. So can anyone learn hypnotherapy, or do you feel that this is something that some people are just more suited to do?
the mechanisms of hypnotherapy, the techniques and so forth. I mean, obviously anybody can learn those. Those are clinical in a book. Anybody can learn them. Does it make you a great one? No.
Right.
There's a lot of times where you have to have an intuitive thought to think, that is what, and you dig deeper because you listened well enough to understand that them just talking about their dog wasn't really the big picture. The big picture was their dad selling their dog underneath them. You have to kind of push it through to find the real trauma. And that takes a lot of empathy, but not the kind that sits there and says, oh, you poor thing. That's not empathy. Empathy is being able to listen and learn and then turn it around and kind of show people what they're saying. Sometimes even that is just enough. But it does call for someone who is not just a good listener, but is a good intuitive listener.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because sometimes because it seems like to me, somebody who is going in for some hypnotherapy might not know some of these. It's like locked in their subconscious, and that's why the hypnosis part of it can bring them out of that, because otherwise they may not realize or talk about it. So I could see where it would take somebody being a little intuitive when they're listening and watching and whatever to be able to get the right answers to be able to help them. So that's very
like
interesting.
if somebody says, I'm afraid of heights. I've always been afraid of heights. I don't know why I'm afraid of heights, but I'm afraid of heights. And I'm like, okay, so they want help just to learn how to not be afraid of heights. But when we really break it down with this particular person, I got down to the bottom of it. And that was that her brothers would find it funny to push her.
Oh.
And it was not just off a cliff, I mean, obviously, but it was like off a trailer, off a stump, or off a way. She was always going to be pushed. So she never trusted her environment. So it wasn't about the height. It was about trusting the environment. And all I had to do was show her today, 30 years later, are you in charge of your environment? Are you the person standing there? Are your brothers behind you? No. Are you all by yourself? Yes. Do you trust yourself? Yes. And just that kind of dissecting allows the brain to go, oh, okay, so I don't have anything to be upset about. And so for a person that comes in just to be helped with fear of heights, now we've learned that it's actually trust issues.
Right.
And that's what triggers her, is the trust. So when things become out of her control, it was the trust.
Wow. That kind of blew my mind a little bit, but it makes complete sense when you break it down into that sense.
Because there's two different things that people don't understand about phobias and fears. Fears are basically like if a dog bit me, I'm now afraid of dogs. A phobia is when I'm afraid of spiders. I've never been bitten by a spider. I've never been affected by a spider. I just know I'm afraid of spiders, but that's a phobia. One is grounded in real life trauma that the brain goes, heck yeah, I'm afraid of dogs. They hurt. But the other is rooted in imagination. They only imagine what the spider would do to them. So it's very simple to take away those phobias, those imagination, because if I can imagine that it's a horrible thing, I can get the brain to imagine that it's not. But fears that are based in trauma have to be dealt with in terms of, I can't tell the brain that the dog won't hurt you because the dog did. So it's a conflict. So you have to go at it a different way. So phobias of jumping off or falling off a cliff or afraid of heights, did they ever fall? No. Well, then now I know that it's the imagination and so forth. But this particular woman, she actually did fall, but that really wasn't the crux of her problem. It was just trust.
Right. Well, that's very interesting. In your practice, what concerns do people come to you with seeking hypnotherapy as a treatment? Obviously, you kind of give us a couple examples already, but if you don't mind throwing some more out there, we're curious.
Yeah. trauma, anxiety, and PTSD really is my specializations.
Mm-hmm.
When for instance, though, those are kind of like the top end hard things to hit. But let's say that somebody says, well, I don't know why, but every time my wife talks to me uh, in the kitchen, I just get really defensive, and I just lash out for no reason. I don't know why. That's not really trauma, anxiety, or PTSD, but it's a habit. And people say, oh, no, that's just how he is. Well, no, that's a learned behavior based on a habit. So hypnotherapy is excellent for habits. And I personally believe that the majority of our habits and behaviors come from just, he was younger and maybe his mother was very overcritical. So every time he had to say something, and he was criticized very heavily. So he learned to become defensive. So now, 30 years later, he's sitting in the living room and his wife says, did you take out the garbage? And he gets defensive. That can be helped. That can be changed through behavior, through hypnotherapy. So people think of hypnotherapy as just to quit smoking or, release inborn trauma, et cetera, et cetera. But literally, it can change every aspect of your life if you want it to, because pretty much everything we do is a habit or a learned behavior.
Oh,
So
that's
pilots,
interesting.
I have pilots that are grounded because they get panic attacks in the air and they can't fly anymore. Truck drivers come to me all the time because their bosses send them to me to get help with panic attacks behind the wheel. I have Denver Nugget players. I have professional soccer players, professional tennis players. They all have this fear of performance anxiety. I have actresses.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways that hypnotherapy can help you.
Wow. I didn't even realize the how broad
Yeah.
that was. I mean, because a lot of times when you're just like Googling it, it's kind of like you're saying the same things pop up, and hearing it from somebody who does that's very interesting. Especially like the panic attacks. I mean, I feel like I knew that, but it's got me thinking more because it was just kind of a fleeting thought. But I mean, I've had panic attacks. They don't happen very often.
And that's good. And sometimes panic attacks happen when we're at our most stressed and our body just doesn't have any other way to handle what's incoming. But if it's a regular thing, like if you're getting a panic attack once a month, once every 2 months, if it's a regular thing, there's reasons behind it. You don't have to live that way.
Right.
Oh.
So I feel like this kind of could segue to a question that we come up with, but we didn't have down to ask was, is hypnotherapy covered on some insurance?
No,
Okay.
it is not covered
That's
on
too
insurance.
bad.
However, we do have a code. It's grayed out, and there's a code in like the insurance world. And I know this because I have a friend in insurance. So it's there and it's poised. It's ready. So like, let's say 10 years ago, there was a lot like massages, chiropractic, even acupuncture wasn't covered. And now they are. They may be limited. They may be limited to like 10 appointments a year, but they're still covered. We believe that hypnotherapy within the next couple of years will actually become one of those things, especially now that some of the politics has changed, where they are very much more focused on holistic type treatment. So I'm very excited to see that happen.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just going to help more and more people.
Yeah, because I think sometimes people they don't have the money to pay for those types of help when they actually need it and would help them. And it's like, well, let's just go give them a pill that'll cover the symptom and not actually get to the root of it, like what hypnotherapy is doing. And it's like, well, what's the difference? I mean, why are you paying for this pill and not for this, treatment?
Exactly. And that's why I offer payments as low as $50 a month. And on top of that,
That's
I
cool.
offer a referral program, which is if somebody comes from you telling them to come, then you get a free session. So I have people that actually don't pay anything.
Wow.
They just send people to me. And so I feel like if there's a will that you want help, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
There's payments available, and there's ability to go out and wrangle up a few more people that would want to quit smoking or want to do this or want to do that. and to help them. So I try to make it as accommodating as I can.
That's great. Well, that's good to know. And I know other, there's a chiropractor that did kind of the same thing, did little payment plans, something they build that you could afford, because sometimes you have to do that to get people to be like, okay, this is manageable. And I need to do
Right. And
this.
if I take you, polish you up, make you feel better, and make you just absolutely feel like a new person, trust me, you're going to go out and tell the world because you
Right.
feel amazing. And that to me is where it all starts.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's huge. So if you don't mind, we'd love to have you explain the different treatments one can get with hypnotherapy. And then do you find that each individual requires a kind of customized approach to their therapy?
Well, and I noticed this goes back to something I saw, Keely, on one of your uh, some blurb about you on the internet, that you take a multidisciplinary sort of approach to your treatments. And so I'm just I was kind of interested in how that all kind of wraps together. I'm assuming that you use some other method with hypnotherapy to kind of make it more customized for the particular individual.
Sure. So each one of my sessions lasts an hour and a half to 2 hours, which is actually extremely long for the majority of what I see out there.
Sure,
I
it'd be
do take a
exhausting.
lot I do take a lot of time to really, the first session is always the longest. And after that, it's usually about an hour and 15 to an hour and a half.
Okay.
With that is at least 30 minutes of just intaking what I understand that you have trauma, but how is it affecting you today? That's the thing. I want to know what happened to you when you were 7, but I don't need it. I just need to know how it's affecting you today. What is it keeping you from doing? What's it keeping you from feeling, et cetera? Because that's kind of where we have to start. So everybody's unique. So everybody must be different. So if somebody has, if I'm starting to listen to them and I'm noticing that they have a lot of triggers. Every time I see this picture, I turn into this, or I cry, or I do this. Every time this happens, I do this. Then I know that maybe they would be very, very helpful if we introduced what's called IEMT, which is a form of EMDR therapy, but much better, much quicker, and doesn't leave people feeling weird. Okay. So that's why I prefer IEMT over EMDR. That is a good way to release triggers or PTSD, so to speak. Okay. EFT is tapping. That's great for nervous anxiety type people. Tapping is an amazing thing. I honestly still, to this day, don't really technically understand how it works. I just know it does. It balances the energy in your face and your body. How it does that, I don't know. I'm not a medical person, but I'm just saying that it's an amazing thing. And is it great for everybody? No, but it's excellent for people have anxiety. Okay. So there's something else. Inner child work. If I start hearing that, they had a lot of young times, a lot of young stories where they were young and their parent did this or didn't do this or this. Inner child work might be something that we go into. Shadow work, trauma release, which is where we literally go to that day that you experienced trauma. And in your hypnotic session, you're walking with yourself, protecting or saying what needs to be said or doing what needs to be done. And in the way the mind works, the mind looks at that and goes, oh, okay, well, that's done. And now we can heal from it. We don't have to keep holding on to those moments. There's just so many different things. Past life regression. If people feel that they just have this odd feeling in today's world that somehow they're connected somewhere to somewhere else, hypnotherapy can help unlock at least the reason why they feel that way.
Have you ever had somebody I hate to interrupt you on this, but I'm very curious. Have you ever had somebody that brought a fear from a past life?
Yes, and that is, I've had people ask me so many times, do I believe that people are going back into a past life? How can you believe that? That's just hooey pooey, woo woo stuff. And you know what? I don't really care. I really don't. If that is what's going to help them reach a completion in their mind or a release in their mind, who am I to say that what they experienced in their own mind is wrong or right? As
Right.
long as it
Wow.
heals them. As
Right.
long as it heals them, that's all I care about.
Uh-huh.
So I don't ever put my own feelings into something. If somebody goes, oh, well, I think that's from a past life of why I'm afraid of water. I don't care what they think. Why? I'm just going to help them get over it. That's what my job is. So
Interesting.
I entertain whatever
Yeah.
they feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because whatever they're feeling is the cause of whatever is
Exactly.
they're there to fix. So whether you
Exactly.
believe that they were, that's really true, but they believe it. So you're like, here we are. Okay, carry on.
Same thing with the
Yeah.
body, the sonomic response of the body.
Mhm.
Medical doctors will take x-rays and test and MRIs and everything to try to figure out why this person has shoulder pain, for instance.
Mhm.
They get all exhausted with all of their things and they're on pills and they don't want to be on pills and nothing helps, et cetera, et cetera. And then they come to me. And it's interesting how certain things mentally affect the body physically.
Yes.
So when someone comes in with shoulder pain and we have no idea why, I start probing for shame. I start probing for guilt because somewhere in their mind, in their history, in their past, in their thoughts is shame or guilt or something. And that is what we need to figure out and release because
Yeah.
that can cause shoulders to ache and hurt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they're harboring it in their
Mhm.
shoulders and the their neck. I guess that's a big one.
Exactly. And
That's so
everybody
interesting.
who has that kind of pain will carry it at some point in their body, either it be hips, back, shoulders, face, jaw. There's all sorts of things.
Yeah, I have a friend that we actually had on the podcast not that long ago who does yoga. But she encompasses more than just the physical attributes to doing yoga. And she had mentioned to me about releasing tension and that in the hips, that anxiety likes to find its
Mhm.
place there. And these different poses, doing them on a regular basis could help, release some of that or
Yeah.
whatever. And as you're talking about it, then I'm coming to that. And then I'm thinking, man, let's do some hypnotherapy yoga. I'm coming up with ideas now, but anyhow.
Exactly. I don't know if the two would work at the same
I'm not
time,
sure
but
either because I don't really know a lot about either, but
Yeah.
just leave it to me to come up with something. So I'm gonna
Exactly.
rely on you, Keely, and my friend to figure that out
Okay.
for me. But
All right, deal.
anyway, so that's really interesting. So basically, what you're saying is any patient you have, it's going to be completely different based on what they tell you. So you're kind of spending time researching them and what they need before you find which path to go. That's really cool. And I love that.
And
I love
sometimes it's
that.
a combination of a lot of paths.
Right.
Maybe it's several different things, but definitely very, very customized.
That's cool.
It really is.
So you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay. So, and I'm actually kind of reluctant to even ask this question, but do you find that the people who come to you, that contact you, and come in, is this a last sort of resort for treatment for a lot of patients? If they've exhausted more traditional forms of therapy, be it psychoanalysis or just physical rehabilitation, the psychiatric meds that.
Sure.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
What's interesting is that I am in Oklahoma. I do have clients all over the world, but I
Uh-huh.
obviously in Oklahoma, so the majority of my clients are here in Oklahoma. They have a very different view on holistic medicine than most.
Mhm.
So I would say that I'm very by the polar opposites of each other. Either A, I'm the very first person they contact because they don't believe in Western medicine and they only want to
Okay.
try a holistic
Hmm.
approach,
Yeah.
or like you said, I'm the last of the things they've tried everything.
Yeah.
And I have made it a point to contact as many psychiatrists and therapists and counselors within the area to let them know that I am here, what I do operate with and specialize in, because talk therapy is great. I'm not knocking it. I think it's great. Everybody should have somebody that they can go and just kind of vent to that doesn't have a dog in the game. You know,
Mhm.
they
Right.
they're just there to listen. Okay. But talk therapy doesn't really help things along very quickly. It's very much come in, you talk for an hour, and then you go home. But with hypnotherapy, it's a much more actionable plan. There's homework, there's job, there's things I'm asking you to do. It's habit breaking and habit forming, which means we have to do it consistently. So once you leave my office, it's not just we're done. It's not a magic wand. There's work for you to do, right?
Mhm.
But within 3 sessions or less, I can get you from A to Z, not just A to B, not small steps, really finished, completed, over it. And
Wow.
talk therapy doesn't really do that fully
Hmm.
quickly, I
Hmm.
should say. Like I said, I'm not knocking talk therapy. I'm just saying it's
Sure.
not as quickly moving.
And I feel like with the talk therapy, some people are more they're there because they want to be there and they're putting in the work, and so they're going to have a better outcome.
Hmm.
Because I've been in therapy my whole life, and I've had talk therapists tell me, like, "You need to do some writing, you need to do this," and then, if you don't do that, then you're not helping yourself progress. But yeah, I get what you're saying, because there is also that point of you're able to tap into pieces of people that they're not ready to tap into, and it could take
Right.
years of talk therapy to get there when you can pull that out of them instantly and in a safe environment. I mean, I say instantly, but yeah, fairly quickly in that environment. So it's
And what's
fascinating.
interesting about that, another little tidbit about that is that talk therapy is great for people who have processing issues,
Right.
schizophrenia, bipolarism, deep depression. Those are processing issues, and they need people to help them talk about their life and what they need help with, right? How to
Yeah.
process what's going on in their life.
Right.
But if you're wanting to seek help because you're just brain fog and you're having a little bit of ADHD moments and you're starting to kind of lose your ability to stay in the moment, that right there, that's hypnosis, technically. When we disassociate, we are in a state of hypnosis. So if you find yourself daydreaming or becoming brain foggy or forgetting things or so forth, that means you're constantly being pushed into a state of hypnosis from anxiety, etc. So not only if you come to me, will you learn to help yourself, but will learn how to stay out of hypnosis when you don't need to be.
Wow.
Wow.
Like like
Robin
reading
and
like
I are like, okay, where do we sign up?
so like when you're watching, okay, when you go to a lecture and you're sitting there for like 30 minutes and all of a sudden you feel like somebody just gave you a sleeping medicine. You just
Yeah.
cannot stay awake. That's hypnosis because your brain triggers several different ways, and we know those ways, and that's how we use it to get you into hypnosis. But too hard, too complicated, overwhelming, these are all things, or boring. Okay, these are all things that makes the brain go, "Ugh, I don't want to do this," and it just checks out. And it just starts daydreaming about stuff. You're
Uh,
driving to Walmart and you're thinking about all the stuff that you want to get at the store. You're not really thinking about how you're driving. And all of a sudden you arrive at the parking lot. You really don't remember driving there. That is hypnosis. That is disassociation. So if you do that a lot, you become very susceptible to the outside world telling you how to feel because you're in hypnosis. social media, you're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, this, that, this, that. The brain just registers it because you're technically in hypnosis.
Wow.
So we have to learn how to stay out of it.
Yeah.
And also we have to learn how to help ourselves. So that is something else that you learn when you go to hypnosis.
I see.
Wow.
I'm kind of interested. Do you have a lot of veterans that you treat?
I work with 2 different veteran organizations
Okay.
that I'm pro bono with. It is a very big passion of mine. My son serves in the military. My grandfather did. It's a very big thing for me. So I volunteer pro bono about 15 to 20 hours a week to veterans whenever they need it.
Oh,
So
fabulous.
my number is always free to them. I love them.
I was asking because, and Mikey has heard me talk about this before. I suffer from, actually, it's pretty mild PTSD from my time in the military. And it's really bizarre the things that trigger that. For instance, I'll just throw this out there. Anthony, you've probably watched at some point some of Anthony Bourdain's shows.
Yeah.
And there was one where they were headed overseas to, I can't remember. It was one of the stands. And
Right.
the producers were really concerned about sending them into what could be a hostile zone or environment for them. And so they sent them all to a school in West Virginia that kind of teaches you how to deal with that sort of thing. Crisis, sudden crises and how you deal with that. And I was watching this, and suddenly they're in this made-up village, and somebody sets off an explosion, some distance away, and then there's panic. People are, paid actors or whatever, are running into the center of this, and in a panic and grabbing hold of, in fact, Anthony, they grabbed hold of him and said, a woman said, help us, help us. And it caused me to flash back to something kind of similar that I experienced when I was traveling for the U.S. government in the military. And my throat closed off. I had to get up and walk out of the room. I just couldn't stand to be there. So, and there's only been a few times that that's happened, but I've never been diagnosed with PTSD, but I'm pretty sure it's there somewhere. And it's why people that come in and try to wake me up, I'll come up swinging just because I'm fighting for my life. So I'm really pleased to hear that you.
I'd be happy to help you anytime. You just message me after and I will take care of you. But the one thing that people need to understand about PTSD is very simple. Every single night we go to sleep and our brain processes out the day. And when our eyes are going back and forth, people think, oh, you're dreaming. And you're processing out what happened today. Okay. And our brain must do that in order for us to have a clean slate to start tomorrow off. So it processes the day and it goes, oh, this memory goes here. This thought goes here, kind of like a Rolodex, kind of like a big computer.
Wow.
Okay. And at some point, your brain found what happened that day and goes, wow, I have no folder for this. I don't know where to put this. And this is just too weird. I don't know what to do with this. So it just lets it sit there. That's PTSD. It sits in front. It doesn't get processed. So technically that is PTSD. And that can be as deep and profound as some of the most tragic things I've ever heard in my life, or it could be just a trigger word that, your dad started yelling every single time you said the word vacuum. And now every time, it could be as little as that, and it could be as traumatic as the most unimaginable. Wow. But that is what the brain is doing. It doesn't know what to do with that bit of information. Some people who are very good at coping, their brain creates that for them and processes it out for them. People who have good coping skills have no problem with taking those new incidences and placing them where they go. That's coping skills.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you could have just had a moment where your brain goes, I don't know what to do. We'll just put it over there and put a paperweight on it. And whenever it needs to be remembered, we'll remember it. And it could be there. But that is what the beauty of hypnosis is, that I literally can go in and we can look at that and say, let's get this gone. Let's process it. Where does it belong? It's no longer affecting you. Where does it belong? Let's get rid of it. And then we get rid of it. And then you literally just come like unbelievable. IMT is a eye fascination therapeutic way of releasing PTSD and triggers. And I was on a continuing education call where I have to do every year for 2 hours. And there was like 200 people on the Zoom call, and she asked for volunteers. I raised my hand. I gave her the most horrible part of my life of trauma. I was bawling and crying and snot flying everywhere. And she did it with me. And 15 minutes later, I'm dry-eyed. I'm sitting there, and she says, now, let's bring up the same memory again, the same thing. I couldn't. I was done. I knew it happened, but I was no longer emotional for it. And I immediately was like, I need to learn that. Take my money. Here's my card. I'm done. That's awesome. And that, to me, is the joy of taking that pain away from somebody and having them look at me and go, holy cow, I feel great. Perfect. That is to me the most joyful part of my whole job.
Yeah. Is
Wow.
people being, I feel great. Yeah. I could see where
Just
that would
set
be
free.
be amazing to be a part of that for people.
Yeah, they come in and they can barely talk because they're crying. Their life is, they don't go out. There's no more fun. There's no more joy. Their marriages are failing. Their children are missing out on their mom being, all she can be. And within just a few short sessions, or sometimes just one session, they look at me like, I can't believe my whole life I've allowed to be this way. And I'm like, exactly. And to me, that's just high-fiving across the miles or giving them a hug or whatever. To me, is just awesome.
Have you ever had patients that you just really couldn't treat, that they couldn't help them find that? Because maybe they weren't open to hypnosis? I mean, is that something that...
Something that if somebody doesn't want to be hypnotized or helped in that way, then they're not going to be helped.
Right.
So I make a very big, when somebody calls for someone else, I might entertain talking to them for a little bit, but really they just need to call me, because I have to hear it from them of why they want to stop doing whatever they're doing, or why they want to feel the way they, stop feeling the way they're feeling. I really take a lot of good measure to make sure that they're ready. There's been many times that I've said, to me, I'll ask somebody, why do you want to quit smoking? Well, my wife wants me to because blah, blah, blah. That's not the answer that I'm looking for. So when they come back with the right answer, where their mindset is, hey, I want to stop doing this because it's affecting me, I then will take them on. And from there, I have found that the only time that it doesn't work is when people just fight it, or they don't want to do the homework.
Right.
They just come in expecting a magic wand. And that is very few and far between, because like I said, I really screen people and I let them know. I'm a very direct person. I don't have the best bedside manner. I'm not going to sit there and coddle you. I'm not going to, treat you like a little invalid that you can't help yourself. I am not that person. I'm the person that says, let's go get dirty. Let's go get sweaty. Let's cry a lot. Let's blow our nose, and we'll be great after this is over. That's me. So I take very good measures to make sure that when you finally get ready to sign up with me, we're doing this. Sister, we're jumping in,
Well, and I love that, because I'm kind of that person too, in a sense. I don't beat around the bush, man. If I got something to say, I'm going to say it.
Yeah. And I can attest.
Yes, he can. And, and I've had, you know, instances where, other people have been like that, and I've been kinda, like, shocked, and then I'm like, "Oh, well, but I appreciate that," Like, I do, because 'cause I'm kinda the same person, but, when the tables are turned, sometimes you're like, "I can't believe they said that to me. I can't believe my doctor told me that, I just entered the last year that I could safely have children. What the hell?" You know? But I'm like, "You know what? Actually, I'm glad she did, because I'd rather
Right.
you be real about it than not." But, um, I was just very curious about that because, um, I have seen people where they have, like, hypno people come in and, like, pull people from, like, in a comedy show, pull them from the crowd, and where those people weren't open to it. They didn't want anything to do with it, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, sit back down. You can't be hypnotized because you're not open to it." And so that's kinda where I was curious to ask you that question because, I'm definitely somebody that is open to it. I'm like, "Yeah, hypnotize me. This'll be fun."
Exactly. Stage hypnotism is hypnosis. That's stage entertainment for purposes only.
Mhm.
All right.
Right, right.
Hypnotherapy is completely different. And the reason that people that go up on stage do that is traditionally they would fill out some sort of postcard or some sort of questionnaire. And what I'm looking for when I want somebody who's very easily put under, I'm looking for them to answer a few questions in a certain way. And when they do that, I know that that person is a certain type of personality that I can put under very quickly. And
Mhm.
with them saying, "Hey, yeah, I want to go up on stage," they're wanting to do that. So that's what stage hypnosis is.
I
It has
see.
nothing to do with hypnotherapy.
Okay.
Right.
So big difference.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that kinda answered that other question
Yeah.
that was coming up next, but that's good. That's a great when that happens.
And of the I've seen in some of your biographical information and something else that I saw. You employ not only in your practice, you employ not only hypnotherapy, but you do life coaching and spiritual coaching. Are those three, do they all kind of go together? Are you doing kind of an integrated approach or?
Like a lot of times, in our culture, in our modern culture,
Mhm.
we have gotten away and we've lost touch with a village to raise a child kind of mentality.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of people that we can lean on, and the majority of my clients that I see, I hear them say the same things over and over again, which is, I don't really have anybody to turn to. My mom's this, my dad's that, my grandma's passed away, blah blah blah. They just don't have the support structure to just simply ask questions about life without a biased opinion of their past. I don't know what they
Wow.
did when they're 7,
Yeah.
but their aunt sure remembers, and she's going to make her remember that you couldn't do that when you were 7. You're not going to do that when you're 27. What kind
Right.
of horrible thing to tell somebody? But anyway, so I believe that life coaching kind of fills that gap between, I'm going to help you with let's just lay it out. Let's figure out what's in your best interest. What's this? What's that? And I help people kind of get to the right answers for them.
Okay.
A lot of times they knew the answer, they just didn't have the courage to say it out loud. So I
Mhm.
do believe that
Wow.
coaching fills that gap.
Uh,
Um, there's something also to be said with the fact that spiritual coaching, once again, we used to be raised in a society where culture was very kind of fueled and directed our spiritual side. However, we really don't have that here in America,
mhm,
um, as much as other countries.
mhm.
So people get really confused when it comes to their spiritual path. And I did go to Bible school. I do understand, not only just the Christian faith, but the majority of the larger faiths. I understand them completely so that I can talk with people about them. But there's also a whole nother facet to that. I've had people come to me with cancer and say to me that they deserved it because like their uncle, twice removed, 3 sides down, 34 whatever, was a butthead. So therefore he passed it down. And so it's just a family curse. So I have cancer because of that. Now,
Like cancer's their karma?
Yes.
In a sense?
Which, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
and I get that very, very often.
Wow.
It's something that they feel comes to them because of some generational curse or generational kind of problem. Well, my
Mhm.
mom did it, my grandma does it, I guess I'm just going to do it. What does that even mean? So I tend to use a lot of that spiritual hypnosis to have them listen carefully. I'm not getting all woo woo, but this is very
Okay.
important
No,
to help
I'm in.
them. Okay. To help them in hypnosis go back into their history of their lineage and have their ancestors meet them here, and they meet them here, and they both get to now say, you are fine. You are now cleansed of this generational feelings of what, and now you can move forward and lead the family in a different way. Do they actually do it? I don't. Once again, we're back to the past life thing. I don't care. I just want them to feel better about where they are today and going forward.
So entertaining their feeling of that generational curse, that it's come down through generations. If you
Exactly.
help them pull up whatever, person, ancestor in their lineage that they feel caused it, then they can put bygones, bury the hatchet.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And that will release the mindset that they are just doomed to be this way.
Wow.
And now everything opens up. So to me, that's a very strong spiritual side
Yeah.
that
Right.
doesn't matter what kind of denomination you are.
Right.
You could be Christian and feel that way. You could be Buddha and feel that way. See my point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay,
And I got to tell you, you've blown my mind.
Oh man, mind blown emoji like 100 times today. But in a good way. Yeah.
well, whenever you're ready, you just reach out and I'll get you scheduled. And I want to help you feel better. So
Great.
okay.
All righty.
Samesies.
I am kind of interested. Is there, and here's your chance to shine, Keele. Is there anything that sets your practice apart from that of other hypnotherapy therapists?
Wow. I have a very strong clinical training. I'm very proud of the training that I've received because I do feel that I do meet quite a bit of hypnotherapists especially in the Oklahoma area, and none of them have the kind of training that I do. So that is something I'm very proud of. However, I think a lot goes into that that's even deeper.
Mhm.
I have some of the worst trauma that anybody could imagine. My childhood made TV news. I made the papers. I understand what it feels like. I understand how it shapes your life and your decisions, your relationships, your children, everything. And I think that sometimes people need to have that kindred spirit that I'm not just telling you miraculously go feel better now, because I know how silly that sounds.
Yeah.
I know what it feels like to go through the trenches and come out and not feel any better. It's like I get it. So that's one aspect. And then as far as my spiritual path, I am very open to all faiths, all practices, all different kinds of positions. And I think that allows a lot more people to be helped.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like there is a quite literal no judgment zone in what you're doing in your practice.
absolutely.
And I think that's huge because I feel like people do go to, different people, not just hypnotherapists, but even just talk therapists or even doctors, and they feel judged.
Absolutely.
And then they don't want to go back and get any more help.
Nope.
So I feel like that's a huge thing to present in a practice to people that are used to feeling judged.
It's not just something I say on the website. I really perform that for people. It's like I've had people tell me the most craziest things that either they've seen, done, felt, and there's my face never changes. I get it. I've been there.
Right. And only somebody who has been there can truly understand it, I think, too.
Right.
In the full sense of it.
Yeah, that's a huge piece
Yeah.
of this, obviously.
And then on top of that, when am I completely out of the woods with my trauma? No, absolutely. I still have stuff, and I'll probably still be working on stuff on my deathbed. But as it is today, I'm in a much better place, and I understand the feelings of actually getting over something. So therefore, when someone comes to me broken and can't hardly finish a sentence without crying, and they're broken, and then maybe 3 weeks later, they're smiling and laughing and saying, "Hey, let's go have some lunch when this is all over." That to me is the biggest, because I know that feeling too. I not only know the horrible broken feeling, but I also know that feeling of when you're standing on top of a mountain for the first time in 20 years and you can smell life. When life is
Such a
just
great way to
better.
put that. I love that.
Yeah.
When you can stand on top of a mountain and just smell life.
Right.
That gave me goosebumps. I love it. That's amazing.
Ah, I love what I do, and I love to help
can
people.
tell.
And I think
Yeah.
when
You
you
can
put it all
tell.
together, this has been the greatest chapter is my retirement, because technically I left the corporate world for 28 years. I left it and said, this is it for the rest of my life. So this is something I can do even in my 70s and beyond. I really feel like this is going to be my thing for the rest of my life.
That's fabulous. Because some people don't find that. They don't find their thing ever.
I
so
know.
I'm glad
And,
that
I
you
did
did.
my thing. I did my thing for 30 years, and I paid for my child. I did the things I was supposed to do. I had the house, I had the car, I took my kid to college. I did all those things. I'm done. And now I get to truly do something that I find the most passionate fun of my life. And it's just helping others get to where they want to be in their life.
Wow.
That's great.
That really
That's just
is.
absolutely great. So, do you have anything, kind of spectacular coming up? Just maybe in your practice or in general, or what you're doing as an individual to grow your knowledge in your field, or anything you want to add?
I think about it every quarter. There is some sort of new workshop I'm taking, or new wonderful way to do something. I'm constantly always learning. And sometimes there's things that and I'm like, that was an interesting thing, but I don't really feel how it could help. And then there's things that I learned that I'm like, I'm going to incorporate this immediately.
Right.
So I don't really have anything like looking on the horizon professionally. I enjoy growing the practice and meeting. I love, I have one Denver Nugget player. Well, he's told more people, and now I'm getting more people, and that's exciting and fun. But really what it comes down to is a little old lady named Martha in Oklahoma that had trauma her whole life. That to me is more important than any fame and fortune.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Yeah. And on a personal level, I am finishing up a book, and just getting ready to kind of run with that next year. So the publicity and the fun of that. So lots of good stuff. And going to be a grandma sometime probably next year.
Oh,
So,
wonderful.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats. Well, that's great. Well, if anybody would want to reach out to you, Keele, and kind of seek out your services or whatever, we want to open this time up for you to tell people how they can contact you and how you like to be contacted, I guess, in that sense.
I am listed on all major platforms as Official Flow, with my last name, Official Flow. My website is fishelhypnotherapy.com. And I am on all major platforms. You can find me anywhere doing all sorts of stuff, even TikTok. I'm everywhere. So if you can't find me, you aren't looking.
Yeah.
I'm everywhere.
Okay.
Good way to put it. Yeah. Well, I mean, you were like the first one that popped up for me when I did the search on just Google, and I didn't need to find anybody else. Sometimes I don't always like I'll look through, but it was just like wham bam, nope, that's it. That's who I'm contacting. It's official. So it may have been an intuitive thing on me being intuitive on the Google or whatever, but
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, this has been certainly one of the most, if not the most enlightening
Right.
podcast interview we've ever done. And
Oh, thank you so much. And I am so honored to be here. And this is the first time anybody's ever asked me to do something like this. So I'm just honored and thank you so much. And if you ever want to deep dive into one particular kind of topic, we can. I'd be happy to do that. And
we'd
yeah,
love
you
to
guys are
have you
good.
back, I'm sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You guys are good.
Oh, well, again,
We
thank you
appreciate
for
that.
your time. We really appreciate it, and look forward to hopefully talking to you again in the future.
Yeah, I think we'll just
Absolutely.
be in touch.
And
How about
Robin,
that?
when you're ready to get some work done, you let me know.
I'm gonna personally drive him up there.
Yeah, trust me,
You
she
just
will.
get on Zoom. I can meet anybody on Zoom no matter
Oh,
where
there you
you
go.
are.
Oh, there you go.
Fancy.
Okay. All right.
All
Well,
right.
That's
Well,
amazing.
thank you very much.
Yes,
All right,
Keely,
sweet
thank
pea. You
you.
guys have a great day, and thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope everyone enjoyed that. If you have any questions for either Mikey or myself about today's episode or any other darn thing, you can email us at mr.robin@mrrobinshood.com or Mikey@mrrobinshood.com. Also, you can find us on Facebook at Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast.
Ooh, and coming to a bar near you, coasters with our faces on it.
Yeah.
Stickers and pins. So if you don't like our page, we can't like you enough to give you any cool shit.
Yeah. As always, you can also, we got free merch out.
Yeah, it's coming. It's going to be here in about a week.
As always, you can also reach out to Mikey or me via Podophone at 580-827-1113. Maybe you just want to get something off your chest or you're feeling some butt pain because of something we said during the podcast. Give us a call. Keep in mind that we aren't likely to answer, but you can leave a voicemail. Text us if you have a question, concern, complaint, compliment, suggestion, whatever. Just don't be a dick about it. In the meantime, tell all your friends to stream this podcast as though their lives depend upon it. As always, you can stream or download episodes of Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast wherever you usually find that sort of nonsense. We're on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Podbean app, Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Listen Notes, and Podchaser. You can also stream them directly from our Podbean website at mrrobinshoodpodcast.podbean.com for free. So we'll close now by reminding everyone, as we always do, to
stay hungry, stay foolish, and most importantly, stay weird. Bye.